Okay, so now that we got all the background stuff out of the way, let's get into solving some of these problems. So first, let's just start really basic. And let's say you're given something along the lines of k squared equals 9. So for this one, I have to ask myself, k squared is going to be k times k. So I need two numbers that multiply to give me a positive 9, and they have to be the same. So a number multiplied by itself, that'll give me positive 9. So I'm going to think about the factors of 9, which are 1 and 9 and 3 and 3. So obviously, since we're looking for a number that you multiply by itself, we'll use 3 and 3 in this case. And we know that there's positive 3 times positive 3 gives us 9. But also, we have to think back, and two negative numbers multiplied together gives us a positive number. So we can say that not only is 3 times 3 equal to 9, but negative 3 times negative 3, these negatives cancel, also gives us 9. So we can say for k it's going to be negative 3 or 3. And that would be your solution here. The next problem we have to work through states that m squared plus 7 equals 88. So now this is a lot like our problem above, but we have something along with our m squared term. So because we know algebra already, we know that to get this guy by himself, we can use some sort of algebraic operation to do that. So I see a plus 7 here, so to get rid of that, I'm just going to subtract 7 from both sides. These will cancel, leaving me with just m squared on this side. And 88 minus 7 is going to be 81. So I have m squared equals 81. That means m times m equals 81. I can look back at my chart and I see that 81 is 9 squared. So that tells me that 9 times 9 is 81. But I have to remember that two positive numbers multiplied together make a positive, but also two negative numbers multiplied together give me a positive number. So negative 9 times a negative 9 also gives me 81. So here m is going to be negative 9 or positive 9. The next problem I want to go through with you guys is this. It says that 8b squared minus 7 equals 193. So this adds on to the difficulty that we had in the last problem by putting a coefficient in front of our b squared term. But let's just do what we've been doing, and that's just start by trying to get our b squared term by itself and just use algebraic operations to see if we can do that. So the first thing I want to do is get rid of this 7. So I'll add 7 on this side and add 7 on this side. These will cancel. I'll have an 8b squared here, and 193 plus 7 is going to give me 200. And now we can just use algebra here, and this basically just says 8 times b squared equals 200. So we can divide this side by 8 to get rid of the 8. And what we do on one side, we always have to do to another, because we are all about equality in math. So we'll divide that by 8. And this will give us b squared equals 200 divided by 8. Let's see. Goes into 20 twice, that's 16. That's a 4. Bring down my 0. 8 goes into 45 times. That's 40. So b squared equals 25. And now that we've taken it to this point, it's back to our really simple way of doing things, which we need to find what factors multiplied by themselves give us 25. So the factors for 25 are 1 and 25 and 5 and 5. So obviously we'll be using our 5 and 5 here because we've basically done a problem like that already. And since two positive values multiplied together give you a positive, and two negative values multiplied together give you a positive, you can say that b is negative 5 or 5. Let's move on to the next one, shall we? The next one is p squared plus 10 equals 91. So we're just going to use our algebra to try and simplify this as much as we can. I want to get rid of this 10, so I'll subtract 10 from this side, and I also have to subtract 10 from this side. That'll give me a p squared here equals 91 minus 10 is 81. I need to think about my factors of 81 that multiplied by themselves would give us 81, and I know 8 times 8 is 64, and so 9 squared would be 9 times 9, which is 81. So again, I know that positive 9 will work, but I have to always remember that two positive numbers multiplied together give us a positive value, and two negative numbers multiplied together give us a positive value. And I know I've said that probably 4 times now, over and over, but it's just a rule that you need to remember when you're doing these problems, and it just saves you a lot of headache. And if you tell yourself every time in the beginning, then as you get more and more practice, it'll just be automatic that you know that there'll be two negative values that correspond to your two positive values to give you your solution. So here will be 9 times 9, which gives you 81, and negative 9 times negative 9, which gives you 81 when these cancel. So for this, you'd write p is going to be negative 9 or 9. I apologize for my funky looking brackets, but that's all there is, just brackets. The last problem I wanted to look at for today is this guy. It says 2 times the quantity n squared equals negative 144. So I can start by doing what I normally do, and that's to just get the n squared term by itself. So I'll divide by 2 here, and divide by 2 here, so that I can get my n squared value by itself. I'll get n squared here, and that'll be half of 144 is going to be 50 plus 22. That's 72. And since there's a negative, it'll be a negative 72. And now, it would be a mistake if I was to go ahead and say, okay, since it's 72, I just need to come up with the factors of 72 and the numbers multiplied together. one thing we haven't seen since we created our graph is a squared number that's negative. And what could the reason for that be? Well, the reason for that is what we talked about before. If you have a positive number times a positive number, the answer is going to be positive. If you have a negative number times a negative number, your answer is going to be positive. So then how is it that this value is negative? It can never be, because if you have a number and you multiply it by itself, it's either going to be positive both times or it's going to be negative both times, because you're multiplying it by itself. You can't have it be positive once and negative once. Therefore, you can never have a negative answer here. So if you're ever working algebraically and you come to a point where you say something squared equals negative some number, the second you say that, you know you have a problem, and you actually have the solution to your problem, and that there's no solution. You will see these. They like to throw them in there to make sure you're doing your work. They might even say something like n squared equals negative 100 because they want you to focus on the 100 and just focus on the 10. But just remember, you cannot have a squared value be negative. So look out for that when you do your homework. If you have any questions, please post them to the comments. As usual, I hope you learned something, and thanks for watching.